Lots of people. I see people. Excellent. Look at all of you. I was talking on mute. Hello. I love when this person called iPhone just shows up. That's weird. Good. Hold on. I gotta mute myself people on that. Okay. The reason it's weird is I am putting this on YouTube for the people that don't show up, so I can make sure that they watch the video tonight because it's so important. You guys can hear me. Nod your head if you can hear me. Excellent. Headbang. Boom. I used to have hair. Hey, looks like some people are here. Emily was upside down for a second. Bailey has a cat. I thought I saw another cat.
Hey, Mr. Brock, where are you streaming this at? Like, what channel?
Well, I thought you were subscribed, pal. It's youtube.com/MrBrock.net, but you spell out D-O-T.
Okay, I accidentally looked up Herbie Brock.
Who's that?
Hi, am I right?
Lame. All right. Hey, it looks like we got more people than usual. That's a good thing.
Real ones will know that his name is pronounced Irby.
Yeah, Irby, yeah, definitely, like oregano. Yep, that's the way it goes. All right. Have you guys noticed, how many more girls come to Zoom than boys? It's kind of hilarious. But shout out to the boys. Allie is in the dark getting drunk. I see Allie Dunn. That's fun.
It's Kool-Aid.
Heck yeah. So yeah. How was everyone's weekend? Anybody do anything fun, like get COVID or something?
I got an arcade stick.
Oh, that's cool for fighting games.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's got The Rock and Triple H on it.
Heck yes. So I've been playing what is it? Sonic, the new Sonic 2D game, Sonic Mania. I've been playing. I figured
yeah, Mania.
You'd be into that, Garrett. So yeah. I love how. Go ahead.
Do you have the deluxe version? Sonic Mania Plus.
No, I just got the one on Switch.
Well, do you have it physically or digitally?
Digitally, of course.
Okay, then pay the extra $5 to get the extra characters.
I don't really care. It seems like all the pre-meeting stuff is just me and Garrett talking about video games every week. It's fun.
I mean, that's basically what was when we actually had school, so.
Exactly. Okay, looks like some people are showing up now. There's people. Laura and Liz are still cameraless, but they have a new computer, so mazel tov for that. Let's go ahead and do the roll and see who's here, and go from there. Okay. Okay. John Asher.
Here.
Laney Bryant.
Here.
Molly Craig. Bailey Cromer.
Here.
Landon Dillingham. Allie Dunn.
Here.
Ethan Fain. Noah Fain. Emma Hackworth.
Here.
Aaron Hale. Brooke Lovell. Jaylee Martin. I saw Jaylee Martin. Does that sound Jaylee Martin trying to talk? Apparently not. I think it's Emily Nash. I think it's you. I think your sound is coming through. Kylie Martin.
I'm here.
Jaylee, there you are. Kylie Martin.
Here.
Emily Nash.
Here.
TJ Ramsey. No. Laura and Liz are here. Lindsay Robinson.
Here.
Eric Sparks. Carson White.
Here.
Oh, so excited, Carson. Thank you. Joey Alcorn.
Here.
I just joined.
Who is it?
Ethan, I just got on.
I got you. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Bryson.
Here.
Ashley. Brenda. I saw her too. Are you saying here, but your mute button is on, Ashley? Okay. Aslan Brock. Michaela Bullock.
Here.
Matthew Chastain.
Here.
Reese Koger. Isaiah D. Hart. Laurie Gabbard.
Here.
Granville Graves. AJ Hacker. Julian Isaacs. Raina Watkins.
Here.
Ali Martin. Daniel Mullins. Courtney
Here.
Payne. Oh, Daniel, you're there.
Yeah.
Courtney Payne. Gary Ramsey. Ellie Robinson. Haley Thacker.
Here.
Natalie Toll.
Here.
Samson Weaver. Taylor Whittemore. Okay. Caroline Brickley. Ethan Cotton.
Here.
Dalton Gibbs. Garrett Hamilton.
Here.
Jasmine Johnson. Lazarus McClure. Elizabeth Mikeworth.
Here.
Jaden Nicely. Halek Payne. Gracie Payne. Taryn Powell.
Here.
Silas Schaefer. Darby Smith.
Here.
Hunter Zayanet. Okay. Did anybody come in while I was doing roll and I didn't get to call your name?
Me.
Who are you?
AJ.
AJ Hacker. Okay. Anybody else?
I did. It's Ashley, Brenda.
Gotcha. I saw you, Ashley, but I think something happened. Okay. Anybody else come in while I was calling roll? Excelente. Okay. So, here's what we're doing today. The first thing is, thank you guys for coming to class today. We have this class and class on Thursday, and then we're taking the AP exam. Email submission. The first thing I want you to know is that if you are not in the meeting today, you'll be watching this video through Canvas on YouTube, and you need to watch the video all the way to the end. And at the end, you will get the assignment that is due tonight at midnight. It's a very simple assignment that takes about 7 or 8 minutes, but you've got to get it done tonight before midnight. If I do not have it before tonight at midnight, I am calling parents tomorrow because I do not know whether or not you're taking the AP exam. So you have to do that. You can do it as soon as this video is over. You people that are in here today, it'll take you 5 minutes, probably like 3 minutes, to be honest. Okay. So that'll come at the end of the video. The next thing is AP sent an email out over the weekend saying that for AP exams starting on Monday, if you have problems submitting your answer, there is an email address that will pop up on the screen, and you can copy and paste your answer and send it to that email address immediately if you have problems. And that kind of backs up my strategy of typing it in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word. That way you can copy and paste it. And if something goes wrong, and remember, 2 people in GoPo had crap go wrong and they have to retest. On that last page, once where you hit submit or where it says it's complete, there will be an email address that you can send your answer to. Okay. And so that's something to remember. Okay. Alert for something that's different. Our last class will be at 11:30 on Thursday. Okay. It'll be at 11:30 on Thursday. And tomorrow night, please don't stay up too late. Okay, the same thing teachers tell you every time you take a major test. Okay, make sure you have food and water, like my cat, and all the stuff that you need to go. But please don't stay up too late tomorrow night. Okay, the test. Okay, I want everybody in this class to be logged on to the test at 1:30. That's when the test opens. And that will make, you can't think 2 o'clock, I'm going to get on there, because if you get on there at 2 o'clock, it's 2:03, you've already lost 3 minutes on the DBQ. Okay, because it is launching at 2 o'clock. So I really need everybody on there at 1:30. Okay. The main stuff I'm going to talk about today is the DBQ, and also a reminder about resources on our Canvas page. So really quick before we get into the DBQ, let's travel over to our friendly Canvas page. And one of the things that I asked for you guys to do Thursday morning is to go through each of these links, especially these first three, and make sure you have your stuff ready. Okay. And this is at the very top of Canvas. Okay. In the exam day module, it'll have the walkthrough, which is the demo. No, that's not the demo. That's like the big long doc. It's a YouTube video is what it is. Okay. So they'll have the YouTube video, another YouTube video that's the rules about the DBQ, another YouTube video that's steps to take before exam day, and then this demo. Okay. Make sure that you can access that demo. Okay. That is in that module. The other thing, I've already had you do this, but man, I would double check that I have this, that I have this Google Drive folder right here, that I have it open, that I have the documents out of it open that I need, and that I also have it on my desktop. So I could open it up on my desktop if I have problems with Google Drive. Okay. Or if I'm using the desktop thing, if I have problems with it, I can go to the Google Drive. All right. Just trying to cover our butts. The last thing I wanted to remind you guys of is the AMSCO book. This AMSCO book should be the thing that you use for content. Okay. It should not be Google, unless you have a miraculous indexed binder of every note in AP. Don't use your paper notes. Don't try to go back to Strayer. This right here is what you need if you need content. All right. And so, for example, So, oh, is this the thing? No, that's wrong. Hold on, it's 2020. Okay. So on this page, there's a question about the Ashanti, right, in the DBQ. I can type in Ashanti and see what shows up. Looks like this one has it with an E. My computer's freaking out because Zoom's up, so give me just a second. Okay, so here, one time in the book, Ashanti shows up, and we can see that it is in resistance, resistance to imperialism, okay, in decolonization. And because the Ashanti is there, I can go back up and read about them real quick and see what we got. A mighty warrior queen led a rebellion against the British. This was the last African war led by women. It resulted in death of 2,000 Ashanti and 1,000 British. This is outside info that you can use. Okay. Liliuokalani was on there. Let's try just Hawaii. All right. Look at Hawaii, how much information I have on here. Hawaii had Japanese laborers. Let's see, let's do Liliuokalani and see if we can get her. L-I-L-I. There's like apostrophes in there and stuff. Kalani. Anyway, there's definitely documents you can find in there. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Let me move you guys on my screen here. Okay. So AMSCO. Okay. I have got some questions from people over the weekend about DBQs. I wanted to address them really quick. I want to take some more questions from you guys about DBQs. I want to look at 3 excerpts from DBQs that people submitted, and then talk about assignments, and that's what I'm going to do today. Okay. Here is. Hey. Hi. Thank you. So Courtney was having a fight with a mongoose over there, I guess. The first thing, we know that the DBQ will have you analyze the extent. On our practice DBQ that you guys graded, it said evaluate the extent to which indigenous people's reactions to state expansions differed during the period 1750 to 1900. Now, I've been like a real stickler about extent all year. I've said it needs to be how much, right? Because that's what extent means. So I watched the same video you guys watched. I also went and looked at some of the examples that the official AP people gave. And what I noticed is they're being a whole lot broader with what extent means than how much. Basically, and I know this from, I actually asked this question on the Facebook group, and it was like overwhelmingly, the people that graded the essays said this, that here's what this question is actually asking, okay? It's actually asking, how did people's reactions differ? How, right? And so I don't know how easy or hard it is for you guys to see how that's just saying how they did this and they did that, right? it's asking for effects, right? What are the reactions? What are the effects of the cause? The cause being state expansion. Okay. And so don't get freaked out about extent. Okay. Just basically answer the question, which is give differing, crud. How did it differ? And of course, if it's asking for how it would differ, your other paragraph is going to be, how is it similar? Do you guys see that? Okay. And that's kind of the roadblock that a lot of people hit on this, because what a lot of people saw was, what were some reactions? And they never addressed how they were different. Okay. And how they are different is the question. So please hear me on this 2 days before the AP exam. Please hear me that you've got to read the question. You've got to, it's not dumb at all. It's not dumb at all to, at the top of the DBQ organizer, I'm going to scoot it down and put it here. Words in the prompt I have to know. And it's not dumb to jot those things down. And so for this one, move out, move to the side, over here, move to the side, move the people. Let me make you guys very small for a second. Over here, what are the words we would pull out? We would pull out reactions to state expansion, differed. We know there's a time period, we know there's a location, and we know it's talking about white people coming in and taking over, right? But we have to say, how did they react to that expansion? How did it differ? Okay. And on every one of these questions, every DBQ, it's going to give you half of what you need to do in the essay. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So at the very beginning of the year, we talked about historical reasoning processes. Okay. And there's only 4 things the DBQ can be about. It can be about cause and effect. It can be about changing continuity over time. It can be about compare and contrast. Read the source line is supposed to be back this way. And those are the 3. Sorry. Comparison, causation, continuity, and change. All right. So compare and contrast, cause and effect, change of continuity. All right. And these are the 3 things that that's all the DBQ can be. All right. And so what the DBQ is going to do is it's going to say, give me causes. Right. And your other paragraph should be effects, but it doesn't say give me causes and effects. Okay. It'll say, give me changes. Okay. But it doesn't say give me continuities. It'll say compare. Remember, compare means similar, but it doesn't say contrast, but you need to do that. Okay. And so I saw that I saw you guys doing that in about half the DBQs I saw, but in about the other half, the biggest thing I saw was you guys were saying, they were violent and they were nonviolent. But a correct thesis statement would be they differed in that some African nations, such as the Ashanti, were, I don't know, nonviolent, whereas some Asian nations were violent, or whatever like that. You have to say they differed. And you should also, in your thesis statement, say how they were similar, right? So this kind of essay, and your boy thinks that it will be a similarity and difference, okay, a compare and contrast essay tomorrow, because they're kind of being nicer to you guys because of the coronavirus. And based on the GoPro test, I would say that's the case. So there's your groups. They were similar in that they did this. They were different in that they did that. Okay. And so that's something I really want to hammer home. Okay. Another thing, about 80% of you guys watched the video before you did the peer reviews, and I really appreciate that. And one of the biggest things that came out of that review of the Indigenous Peoples DBQ is that you really need to read the source line, because the source line can give you a lot of information about what's going on in the document. If we go over to the Indigenous Peoples one, the Indigenous Peoples one, the source line says the Tonghawk. Well, here's the thing, guys. I teach AP World, coach the academic team, and have a master's degree. Never heard of the Tonghawk. No idea. All right. But if we read, it says that they were Koreans. They're Neo-Confucian. And that they were against the imperialism. Okay. If I describe what Neo-Confucianism is, if I can remember that, or if I can search for it in AMSCO, I get outside information. If I talk about how this is similar to the Boxer Rebellion, this is similar to the self-strengthening movement, this is similar to the Taiping Rebellion of countries resisting using Confucian and traditional values, then I can get the outside evidence. Okay. But if I don't read that, like I should read the source line first, and then whatever they throw down here with the asterisk. And you won't always have those. But here you have this guy, a Javanese aristocrat, pioneer in education for the women. So he's pro-women education in the Dutch period. And it is Letters of a Javanese Princess. And then it talks on the bottom about how the Dutch controlled the islands of Indonesia. And we actually talked about that in class. And then there was some indirect rule. Okay. We need to read the source lines. That will help you with sourcing and just knowing where the document is. Okay. I learned that the word sourceable is not a word. I learned that when I was putting this together. So I think I said this in class on Thursday, but I was still kind of cobbling it together in my mind when I said it. And so I wanted to say it more clearly and kind of reiterate it here today. Okay. You know that if we pull up, hang on just a second. If we pull up the rubric, we know that we just have to source 2 documents. And when I say source, that means tell the HIP and tell why it matters. All right. So mega pro tip, and this is not just me saying this, this is a bunch of other people that are way smarter than me and way higher ranked in the AP community than me. They say, it doesn't matter what paragraph you start with. And it doesn't matter how you put the documents in order in the paragraph. Because we are against the clock, you really, as you're filling out your DBQ organizer, you really need to try to source 3 documents, okay? And put those 3 documents at the start of your second paragraph. So you're gonna have one of 2 things. Actually, you're gonna have one thing. You're gonna have one group that's 3 documents and one group that's 2 documents. So what I say is, if you can source the 2 documents that are in a group, and then you can source 1 document that's in the group of 3, start with your 2 document group, source. Next paragraph is your 3 document group, source the first one. All right, that way you've got 3 sources in, and if you run out of time, you're not going to be scrambling to put in sourcing on the last document. Okay, so source early. Another piece of information that's really similar is throw outside information in everywhere you can in your first body paragraph, in paragraph 2. Try to put it in different places. You know, this is similar to, this also did this. Very important thing here. Definitions are outside information. Connections are outside information. Other reasons, other causes, other similarities, other differences. Anything you can do, throw it in everywhere. Not in the first paragraph. Paragraph 1 just needs to be context, thesis statement, you're done. Paragraph 2, topic sentence, start working the document and throw in every piece of outside info you can get. Okay, and that's why it's important to use that organizer that you can put in some outside info as you go. Remember, I said it's a waste of time to try to print these documents, but printing out that DBQ outline organizer is not a bad idea. And even if you don't have a printer, pull it up on your computer, get a piece of paper out and draw it out and make it for yourself. I think that's a really smart thing to do, to have that so you can take off. We're doing another DBQ tonight, and I would definitely consider either printing it off or making a copy of it myself and practice using it tonight. Another thing that I saw kind of half and half is all you have to underline. Underline doc numbers every time. That helps the reader. Underline the phrase "this shows" when you're doing your title thesis, and then underline "this is important because," and that is it. I saw some people underlining the actual sourcing, where they would say, you know, this document was written by. The reason I say, and everybody else says, that you don't have to do that is because everybody does it. every kid can tell you this was written by an Ashanti leader because it tells you it was written by an Ashanti leader. And so people aren't really looking for that. When we're reading DBQs, we usually just skim over that and see if they gave why it matters. So this is important because is what you want to do there. Another thing that's not on here, well, I'll skip that. And then finally, read and reread the sentence by sentence guide. Because of the examples that it has, and because of how it's tailored exactly to this DBQ, and it tells you what you have to do for each specific line, really use that as a resource. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. We'll go back here. So I know I got maybe 6 or 7 questions about DBQs over the weekend. And so I want to open up now for any that you guys had about maybe what some of the DBQs you weren't sure about how to grade it, or if you have questions, or when you wrote your DBQ or whatever. Let me know what kind of stuff you guys are thinking or have questions about.
Would it also be a good idea to underline, like this is similar to when you're writing your outside information, or no?
That's not a bad idea. But another thing is don't think that just this is similar to is the only way you can do outside information. I'm going to show you a DBQ here in a second where one of you guys just peppered in outside information left and right. Basically it goes back to the beginning of the year when we talked about specific historical evidence. Every time you drop specific historical evidence that's not in the documents, the reader needs to stop and bubble that in. And they're really generous with it because basically what you're doing is you're saying, I learned something in class. And so you can look at it like that. So I wouldn't say that's a bad idea. Yeah, good. Other people.
Do you think?
You go ahead. My bad.
No, you go ahead. It's okay.
Bailey, you beat him to it. I saw it.
Do you think that it's a good idea to put like past DBQs that we have written in our folders to look at as examples?
I would look at them, but I wouldn't. You do not have time to look at them I would read them and go through them beforehand. But I wouldn't think of that as something I'm going to use while that timer is ticking on the DBQ. If I were you guys, I would have 3 things open on DBQ day, which is the DBQ prompt, AMSCO, and the outline organizer. And what I did was I put a spot at the bottom of the outline organizer that you can just type it there if you want to scroll up and down. I know it's hard to have like 6 different things on your screen. So I put a place at the bottom of the DBQ organizer that you can type it there and keep going up and down if you want to do that. But smart to look at those things. But I wouldn't do it on exam day. Here's another thing. Hopefully you guys did this last time. But if you didn't, like tonight, when you write this DBQ, like really set everything up, really set your timer, get in a place where nobody can bother you, and really make it a practice. If we were at school, we would be doing this right now. Okay, like we would, there would be 2 or 3 classes where you walk in, you grab your DBQ, you sit down, you write it. And so really consider doing that tonight when you do this DBQ to see that. You might find or know or think about resources that are beyond my advice, and that's okay. But I would definitely test it out tonight before Thursday. Okay. Ethan.
I was gonna ask if you would like recommend like a certain amount of time that we started to fill out our organizer before we started on the actual DBQ. You say like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, if it takes 15, it takes 15. The documents are probably going to be pretty short. And what I'm about to say right now is a really important piece of information. Slow down when you are reading the documents and jot down the things that you understand in your DBQ organizer. Don't just skim them. I'll show you an example of a DBQ today where one of you guys skimmed the document and you came out with the exact opposite of what it says. So slowing down and reading the documents and really trying to pull the information out, brainstorming about sourcing, and in your head, you'll see how it's going to tie to thesis, right? This is the thing that's similar to this thing. So these two things were similar. These two things were different. These two things were causes. These three things were effects. You'll see that as you go, but you got to take it slow. And if taking it slow means it takes 15 minutes, go ahead. I would say if you get up around 20 and 25, you're in trouble. But that's something for you to see tonight and then change tonight if you see that's the case. Okay, good question. Other questions?
Mr. Brock.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you said you think the prompt's going to be like a compare and contrast.
Mhm.
Can you give like an example of like just like a prompt that you would say that, and just give an example of a prompt and how you would put the thesis out? Because like I think sometimes I have a little trouble with doing like a compare and contrast type thesis.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, the one that we had is compare and contrast, or sorry, compare, right, is similarities,
Mm-hmm.
and contrast is differences, right?
Yeah.
And so so the DBQ that you guys just wrote says evaluate to the extent to which indigenous peoples' reactions to state expansions differed during the period of 1750 to 1900. So basically it's saying compare, right? Show comparisons. Well, actually it's saying contrast, show differences.
Yeah.
And we know we want to do the other skill, which is compare and show similarities.
Okay.
So as we go through the documents, probably what we're going to find is that a number of the indigenous people were similar in they used violence to react to state expansion.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so that's your similar paragraph, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you could say, however, the indigenous peoples who used diplomacy used diplomacy in different ways, whereas some of them utilized their resources as a way to persuade the imperialists. Others tried to show themselves as equals who did not deserve to be overtaken.
Okay.
And so you have a paragraph of similarities and a paragraph of differences. Okay. And so like I said earlier, the hole that almost everybody fell into, good students who've been writing good DBQs all year, is they just said, here's 2 paragraphs. They resisted violently in this paragraph, and they resisted non-violently in this paragraph. All right.
Yeah.
Having a thesis statement that says that it's different, that says that they did it violently with a piece of evidence, but was it similarities or differences? It says differences, right? So they did it violently with a piece of evidence, but some did it with diplomacy with a piece of evidence. You get the thesis point there, right? Because you actually get the thesis point as long as you give differences in your thesis. But you do the similarities because that's your other paragraph.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Now, you also, that's compare and contrast. Okay.
Okay.
And those are the examples that they have given us. Give me just a second here. And then the prompt that we're going to write tonight, it's loading. Hang on just a second. It's evaluate the extent to which Christianity changed societies in Latin America. Okay. So the truth is, if you give 2 paragraphs about the changes, okay, you get the thesis point and you're going to get your points. But remember, on the back burner, if you can have continuities in there, that's a 7th point thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But Christianity changing societies, okay, Latin American societies. Well, one thing is it's going to lead a lot of them to convert, right? And so probably one of your paragraphs is going to be it changed it because a lot of them converted. And then and I've already kind of looked through the documents, and how many times do we talk about syncretic religions in class, in Voodoo and Santeria, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to have opportunities for that too. But it seems like similarities, compare and contrast is something that I mean, I could be wrong, right? But when you look at it, it's going to be one of the 3: cause and effect, compare and contrast, or change in continuity.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. Other questions? Gracie's dead. There she is. Lainey also has died. Bryson is dead. I hate you guys. Okay. So here's what I want to do now. And I don't think it'll take too much time. If you see one of these as your DBQ, you can feel free to speak up and talk about it, or you can stay quiet. Either way, I got good ones and bad ones. Okay, so let me share this screen. We're sharing. Okay, and then over here in this Word document here, boom. Okay, so what I have is 3 DBQs that, hang on just a second. Can you guys see the entire paper, the comments, and the paper from left to right, or is anything covered up? Yes, is everything okay? You see everything? No one's nodding their head? Okay, thank you, Carson. One person who nodded his head. Okay, so stay with me here. Some of you guys look like you were about to die when I checked on you a minute ago, so tune in. This is a big deal. We've talked about context and the thesis statement all year. I think you guys are okay with that. If you're not, there's so much stuff you can go back and use, okay? But what I did was I pulled out parts of or complete body paragraphs and kind of went through and highlighted things I wanted to point out to you. Here's the thing to keep in your mind when you have to work a document. You want to say, the document is, the document says, this shows, that's your title thesis. Outside information, it's similar to, different to, related to, anything that's outside information. It was written by, this is important because, okay? And if you can do that for just 3 documents, or 4 for the title thesis, you're going to get max points, okay? So let's start with this one right here. Starts with indigenous people reacted to state expansion through peaceful activism as shown in documents 1, 4, and 5. Okay, first thing, that's a fine topic sentence. That's a fine topic sentence. Here's something I would say. Save yourself the time and cut out the document numbers, okay? That's the new thing we've been talking about. Cut out the document numbers in your thesis statement and in your topic sentences, okay? Look at this person following my directions. Document 1 is a letter from Ashanti leader to the British government. In this letter, it says, the Ashanti leader refuses the British's offer for protection, stating that he will never submit his people to foreign rule. Okay, they understand the document. That's a good description. All right. As I'm reading this, your kid is in the smart pile. I'm loving it. All right. Here's the stumble. This shows that the Ashanti leader reacted peacefully because nowhere in the letter it was mentioned that violent measures were taken. All right. So what they're doing here is they're only talking about the Ashanti leader and what the Ashanti leader did and not how it proves their thesis. Okay. And so what they should have said here is this shows the Ashanti leader reacted peacefully because nowhere in the letter it was mentioned that violent measures would be taken. This proves that many indigenous people had a strong opposition to state expansion. However, they would not. It did not seem that. But it did not seem they were willing to become violent. Okay, so in the title thesis, you have to say this proves the thesis because it said that. Okay, they do the same thing in the next document. It's a letter from Liliuokalani. Document describes Liliuokalani's peaceful protest. She also asks, oh, by the way, Guys, always use past tense, right? This is history. Always use past tense. So we would say she also asked. She also asked for due process of law and compensation for the land that was being taken. Okay, good description of the document. They understand the document. Okay, this shows that Liliuokalani Kalani did not want to answer violently to the United States request. Instead, she wanted to peacefully create a deal that would allow for both parties to benefit. There's nothing all-encompassing that goes back up here and proves this. Okay, and so the same kind of title thesis I would use there is the same thing I did for the Ashanti. Okay, so they didn't try to source the Ashanti one, and I would say, remember, try to source your first 3 documents. That way you can get the sourcing out of the way and write fast. Okay, they do try to source this one, and they say it was written by Liliuokalani Kalani. It's important because it shows that she's willing to do whatever it would take, even selling the land, to protect the inhabitants to preserve their culture. Okay, so it's just further explaining. Okay, they're just further explaining the document, further describing the document, and they're not saying why her point of view is important. And listen how simply we could source point of view for Liliuokalani Kalani. This letter is written by Queen Liliuokalani Kalani as the sovereign queen of Hawaii. She had a lot at stake in writing this letter. She probably was worried about losing the lineage of her crown. And therefore, she used harsh words in defense of her country, right? Remember, when it comes to why it matters on the sourcing, this is important because on the sourcing, it's what were they really saying? What did they have deep down? Okay. So this student did some good, they did some bad, and I really want to point out some good that they do here at the end. So we're talking about Liliuokalani Kalani. The document does not say what happens to Liliuokalani Kalani, but this student remembered in class. So she was forced to surrender to save the people she loved. If she would have continued to refuse, violence would have broken out, resulting in many deaths. So there's your outside information, just adding to the story, right? And Liliuokalani Kalani is a really common example that that people are going to use. And so, you know, when you get a 5-document DBQ, 3 or 4 of the documents are probably going to be written by someone you've never heard of, or about topics you've never heard of. But 1 or 2 of them might be like, oh my God, I remember that. That was the Boxer Rebellion. All right, keep that in your head that you can just start rattling out Boxer Rebellion stuff at the end of your paragraph and get your outside evidence. Remember, the bar is low on outside evidence. You just throw it in there and you're going to get it. Okay. Real quick, let's look at 2. Okay. The first thing I want you guys to notice is that this person typed this into the box. They did not use Google Docs or Word. I know that because they have spelling errors. They didn't capitalize Ashanti. They misspelled British. Okay. And so one thing I want to point out is, you know, you have, well, first of all, you can't type it in the box on the exam day. But this is the way this person starts paragraph 2. And they start paragraph 2 with document 1 describes an Ashanti leader. There is no topic sentence. I have no idea what part of the thesis this paragraph's about. Okay. An Ashanti leader greeting the British with open arms. This shows how some nations allowed the countries to colonize. Well, check this out, guys. there is, where's this one? Yeah, that's not what the Ashanti said, right? The Ashanti, this person skimmed, because in the Ashanti one, he says, the idea that we are going to come under the Queen of England is a matter of serious consideration. I'm pleased to announce that we've arrived at the conclusion that my kingdom of Ashanti will never commit itself to any such policy. Ashanti must remain as old and at the same time friendly with all white men, right? We're not going to let you take us over, but we'll be friendly with you, right? But this person says they greet the British with open arms, okay? So they can't get credit for describing the document there, right? And if we look at describing the document, they have to describe at least 2 documents to get this first point here. And then have tied a thesis for 2 documents to get the second point, and have tied a thesis for 4 documents to get the third point there. And so they didn't get that point there. It shows how some nations allowed the countries to colonize. They just restated what they said in their description. It was written by a Ashanti leader. This matters because it shows the leader of these nations treated the arrival of foreigners and welcomed them. They said the same thing 3 times. Do you guys see that? Okay. They go on to document 4. Hawaiian leader is upset about the colonization of her lands, asking for peacefulness and harmony between the two. This shows that the queen did not rebel against her colonizers, but showed distaste for them and asked them to leave. This was written to peacefully tell the United States how they feel. Okay, that's a good purpose, right? This matters because it shows the queen not wanting to fight. Okay, that's not why the purpose matters. Okay, we got to go further. All right. And then I saved the best for last. You can probably tell because of the size of this thing. But I just want to read it to you and point out the things that matter. Time period, reactions of indigenous people to state expansion differed. It was large, as shown. Some groups of indigenous people reacted to state expansion with violence and war. Okay. So there you go. You got your thesis statement, or sorry, your topic sentence, which is half of your thesis statement. Didn't have to use the document numbers there. Underline the documents here. Tonga's attempt to appealing to others, the fact that they need to come together to expel the Japanese invaders from Korea. So they're trying to get other people. Document says that they believe in the traditional teachings of Neo-Confucianism. Soldiers, they may not, but they're united by desire to exterminate the Japanese and Chinese. Okay, that is here's what I put here. Click. Why does it not click? Anyway, that is a killer description of the document. Okay, and look at how tied a thesis is done here. This shows that one reaction to state expansion could be so viscerally negative and violent that a group that has nothing in common with another group would want to encourage them to unite together in order to defeat the invaders by force. Okay, force is in their topic sentence, and what they are doing is they're doing exactly what the people that put this document in this DBQ wanted them to do, for them to make the connection that outsiders coming in are causing people who might normally fight to come together to fight them. It's nationalism. Okay. And then there's nothing about the tribute system in this document, but God Almighty, did we not talk about the tribute system in class, right? So it talks about the tribute system. It describes the tribute system, which is important. And then it goes even further. Also knowing about Neo-Confucianism, or pulling up your AMSCO and searching for Neo-Confucianism, getting a definition of it is good enough for outside info. Okay. I want to show you the HIP matters here. they say it was written by Tongat members. This matters because it shows not only the distance that an indigenous group of people will go to fight against state expansion, it also shows one possibly positive aspect of state expansion in that it could, this person needs to remember to use past tense, in that it could unite a country using nationalism. Okay, so we've got three good examples. Kind of, this person here is on track for a 9 or a 10. This person here is on track for somewhere between a 4 and a 6. And this person here is on track to somewhere like between a 1 and a 3. And remember, if you can get a 5, 5 points, you're probably in 5 or 6 is going to get you a 3 on the AP exam. All right. So make sure that this rubric is in the Google Drive folder. Make sure you understand this rubric and come up with a strategy of how you can get those points. Okay. All right. I'm going to set the timer. I'm over right now. So I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to tell you guys, somebody's chatting. I see you, Ashley. And we've lost some people. It's sad. So I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes, take questions, and then I'll give you your assignment, and then I will leave, okay? Courtney, can you set a timer for 2 minutes? All right, 2 minutes, go. Anything about what I just said?
I have a question.
Okay.
It isn't really about what you just said, but I was just thinking about it. Could like the time period that the document was written in be a form of sourcing as well?
Yeah, if you know something's going on at that time period, like one thing, and a lot of times they give you, like, they put on a platter stuff, like nowhere is the Scramble for Africa written in any of those documents, right? And so that's historical context, right? So you could say, this was written during the Scramble for Africa, a time when Europeans were divided up Africa and were colonizing each one of them. This matters because this Ashanti king would be one of many African leaders facing this problem at the same time. And so that's a time period thing, or like a major thing that's going on. And remember, for historical context and sourcing, it can be something that happened before, something that's happening during, or something that happens after. And it's the exact same thing for the big C context at the beginning of the paper. So yes, that's a really good question. What else, people? Running out of time. Nobody has anything? That's 2 minutes. Okay, so let me show you what you're doing tonight. Okay. Okay. So okay, here is the first thing. As soon as you leave the Zoom today, as close as you can, I need you to fill out a Google form for me. It's similar to the Google form you filled out a few modules back. However, this one is the final one, and I absolutely need to know about your computer situation. Now, here is the thing that while I'm making everybody watch this video, I'm making everybody watch this video because I have hidden this Google form. The Google form is actually hidden away in module. Come on. It's in module 5. Okay. So instead of me putting it in the module that everybody was looking at, so they could go do that without watching the video, I put it here. It's in module 5. Okay. And so I'm putting this up on Edpuzzle so people can't fast forward through. If someone asks you, hey, what's the deal with the secret thing? Don't tell them, make them watch the video. It'll help them pass the AP exam, okay? So that's the midnight assignment. It has to be done tonight by midnight. If not, I will call your parents. I swear, I swear, I swear. Okay? The next thing. Technically, all this is due, well, this is midnight, okay? The rest of this stuff is technically not due until 11:30 on Thursday, which is when we'll meet for our class. But I really think in order for you to use your next 2 days wisely, that you do the new DBQ that will be up as soon as I hit end here on Zoom. It's Effects of Christianity DBQ. I really think you should do that tomorrow. And I think you should do it early enough tomorrow that you can watch the 1-hour video about that DBQ afterwards. Because it's going to be the people from AP, the people who write the essays, the people who are the chief graders, talking about how you get points and how you don't get points. And it'll be based on an essay you just wrote. Okay, so that's the DBQ video. And then all of the exam setup stuff is due on Thursday morning. Okay, I would do that on Thursday morning. These assignments are set up like that. And then also I would say go through in the exam prep module. If you are just gonna bomb this DBQ, that DBQ help link on there has the Heimler videos if you didn't watch them or if you need to watch them again, and also my videos and my files that are broken down by the points, and they'll load here in 7 hours. But there's what is the rubric, how to annotate the docs, how to construct an argument, how to get context, how to describe, get title thesis and sourcing. All that stuff is there, and those are videos I made. Official AP videos are there too. If there's something about content you don't know, in that same module at the top, I have links to, I can't remember what I linked in here. Tons of stuff, different websites, different videos, different text resources, practice tests that kind of ask what you know and you don't know. All that stuff is there, okay? You just have to remember we're only writing a 5-document DBQ with a different rubric, and that we only have to know units 1 through 6. So if it happened after 1899, it did not happen, okay? All right, so that's the info about the assignments and all the good stuff. And now I will open it up for questions, and we will go because I know you guys get antsy when we go over an hour. Any question about anything at all? It's okay to ask a question. Okay. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Take your time to do this last little bit right. It really could be the difference between you being happy in July because you got the score you wanted, as opposed to you being sad in July because you didn't. I always send out texts to people who passed the AP exam. And I'm always excited to do that. And I really want to do that for all you guys. I want to congratulate you. Okay. I'm always here. Just reply to remind and it comes straight to me. That seems to be working well. You can email me. Please go as soon as possible to fill out that Google form to do what it asks you to do. And let me know if you have any problems at all like that. Okay, so until Thursday morning at 11, bye.